Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Patrick Ray, and soon you will be listening to my partner and teammate, Wesley Boudreaux. And today we're going to cover the Chevron pension lump sum rates. And we'd like to cover a couple of things before we get the presentation started so that we're all on the same page. We do not and are not affiliated with Chevron or Fidelity in any way. And our experience comes with over 30 years of dealing with Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 company employees plan for and achieve financial success in retirement. And we have developed and put together a value series of on-demand webinars that address some of the most common questions and concerns that we run into in meeting with that you are able to peruse at your own leisure. And we will be dropping the link to access those webinars in the chat box that you'll see in the presentation throughout today. We also want to talk just for a second about, because we're not affiliated with Chevron or Fidelity in any way, that our experience comes in dealing with these individuals so that we can help them plan for their retirement. And Wesley will be talking today about the experience in dealing and understanding your pension and your pension decisions in the future. So today, if I could introduce Wesley. Wesley, if you would.
All right, thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it. Yeah, like Patrick said, we're going to go over some of the pension interest rates, the lump sums, because it's a very hot topic, especially right now for any individuals that were looking at the EOI, whether it was this last month or whether it's looking forward maybe in October or so. Because right now we're seeing some of the historical low rates for interest rates, which is correlating to some of the highest lump sums we've seen in history. So I'll give you a real quick background before I get into there as far as the pension plan, and then talk about the interest rates. So as you transition to retirement with Chevron, there's really three sources of income you're going to be looking at. One will be Social Security, which you can take as early as 62 or defer to 70. We do provide a Social Security analysis, so if you have any questions on that, we can go through it for you. The 401k is your defined contribution plan, in which case you and Chevron have been making contributions over time. You'll have the ability to withdraw from that for your retirement needs. Again, that's something we can review if you need help on the allocations or even reviewing in UA. But ultimately, the other one we're going to talk about today is your pension plan, which depending upon where you started, there's various different pension plans with Chevron, whether it was starting with Chevron, Texaco, Caltex, Gulf, or Unical. You could look at the Chevron Legacy Plan, the Texaco Legacy Plan, the Caltex Legacy Plan, the Unical Legacy Plan, or subsidiaries like Getty or Texaco Foreign. But ultimately, just the one thing to remember is that most all of these benefits plans, they correlate to some of the similar calculations, but they all have the same options for you. So they are defined benefit, and what happens is they will calculate what your actual benefit is based upon your years of service and your final average pay, and then subtracting out Social Security. So all those calculations come together to determine your single life annuity. So that's the amount that they're going to be looking to pay you for the rest of your life. Now, every other option is going to be calculated off of that. So those other options are going to be the pension lump sum, the life and certain annuity, joint and survivor annuity, or uniform income. Uniform income is a little bit different, in which case it pays you a little bit higher pension now and then drops it as Social Security kicks in. But again, we're going to go over the lump sum today and how the interest rates are affecting it. But ultimately speaking, I think Patrick mentioned it, do take us up on the cash flow analysis. Again, give us a call at 800-900-5867, because we'll be able to actually run a review to show you all these various choices side by side and what it's going to look like in 5, 10, 15, 20, or even 30 years out. So you can make a better decision as to when's the right time to retire and what's the right pension choice to look at. For a lot of people, the lump sums are attractive right now, but in reality, for some people, the annuity may be the best choice. So depending upon your situation and when you're looking to retire, you may or may not actually get 100% of your pension, whether it be the annuity or the lump sum. So this table right here gives you kind of the breakdown as far as your years of service and your age to determine what you're looking at for your pension calculation. So if we look at the highlighted screen, if you look on that far right side, the majority of people, if you're going to be over 50 years old, you probably got 55 points, meaning you've been there for at least 55 between your years of service and your age, or at least 55 or more. But if you take a look at the person highlighted at age 55, let's say that they were to retire right now at age 55 and also commence their benefits, they would not be getting 100% of their pension, whether it be the annuity or the lump sum. They would be getting 75%. In order to get 100%, you have to wait until age 60. So for every year you take it, or you decide to take it prior to age 60, you're looking at a 5% reduction in the actual pension you're going to get. Now, you can also retire at 55 but not actually commence the benefits. You can actually defer those all the way till 60 if you want to get those guaranteed 5% raises each year. Now, however, even though that looks attractive, deferring it, if you are leaning towards a lump sum and interest rates change, they could wipe out that increase of 5%. The other issue is look at opportunity cost. So that's why we do stress, again, that cash flow analysis to look at running your scenario side by side so you have all those various choices.
Hey, Wesley, can you be sure that you're sharing the screen with the audience? We've had someone say that they cannot see this, the actual presentation.
Really? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you seeing it, Patrick?
I can see now. That's our cameras. Yeah, there you go. I can see it, and I had seen it before, so I'm not sure why one of the attendees are not able to see. But we'll be able to get this presentation out to everyone for a replay or a recording for your information through that link that I dropped in the chat.
Okay. Well, we're getting to kind of the main point on the next screen, so I'll go a little bit more detail on that and kind of call out some of the numbers. But just to double check, you said you are seeing the screen right now, Patrick?
Now she can see it. It's perfect.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So as I was saying, depending upon your age is going to determine what your actual percentage of your benefit's going to be. But again, just let us know. We can run those numbers for you side by side to make sure you don't make any mistakes. So this is what we want to talk about today, the interest rates and where they are right now for those of you that may be leaning towards the pension lump sum. So what happens is if you look at this little chart on the top, this graphic, generally speaking, whenever interest rates go down, your lump sum is going to actually come up. And that's what we've seen over the last year or so. And the opposite happens if interest rates start to go up, which eventually we may see happen. They will start to drop your lump sum, everything else held equal. Now, generally speaking, whenever you have a 1 percentage point increase or decrease in interest rates, it's going to equate to roughly anywhere from an 8 to a 12% change in your pension figures, your lump sum figures. So if we look at the rates having come up over the last couple of years, there's been some significant changes. Now, if you look at the way that Chevron calculates it, about 10 years ago, they changed it to the pension segment rates, which factor in corporate bond rates. And if you take a look at this chart, there's the first segment, second segment, and third segment. And what those mean is that first segment is going to be essentially years 1 through 5 of your retirement. The second segment is going to be the next 15 years of retirement. And the third segment is going to be all the years beyond that. So depending upon how old you are whenever you calculate your lump sum, it's going to depend upon how many years each segment is actually tied to you. So somebody who's younger may have more third term segments. It's going to be a higher calculation towards the third segment. Somebody that's going to be older is going to have a lot more towards the first and second segment. But generally speaking, most everybody, the bulk of it's going to, the biggest factor is going to be that second segment. So that's what we're going to focus on today, just to give you some idea of what those interest rates having changed are doing to your lump sum. So what Wesley, they do is they look at an average.
Can you talk for a second about the significance of these rates and how it impacts a decision for someone to actually commence their benefits as opposed to waiting?
Yeah, so going back to that slide we were on before, as far as commencement, you can actually retire and then defer out if you want to. The difference is whenever you commence your benefit, that's what interest rates are going to use to calculate out your lump sum. So right now we're seeing some of the lowest we've ever seen. So if you commence your benefits now, chances are you're going to have one of the highest lump sums you've seen. If interest rates go lower, it could get better. If interest rates go higher, it could get worse. So that's why we want to review these on a month-by-month basis with you. So I'll finish up this slide. I'll kind of give a little bit more segue into that. But looking at the way they calculate, they look at the average of the previous third, fourth, and fifth month to determine what the blended rate is. So if you look at this chart here, going back to February, take a look at that second segment, 2.72. That's the lowest we've ever seen in history. It came back up in March and then it's dropped back down a little bit here in April. If you look at the blended rate, right now we're looking at 1.84%, 2.89%, and 3.44%. Right now, May's rates are pretty good as well. We thought those were going to be the lowest. June actually kicked up a little bit, and then July has now actually come down to set a record for Chevron. So that means we're seeing some of the highest lump sums we've ever seen. So if you wait another month or 2 or 3 months, those interest rates are going to change every month. Could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower. It just depends upon how much they change. So speaking of changing, if we go back about a year or so and look at May of last year, those same interest rates were 3.19%, 4.23%, and 4.57%. All of them have come down over 1%. If you look at that middle segment, which again is the bigger factor, that's come down a little bit over 1.3%. So if you remember the calculation I mentioned to you, that 1% equals 10%, that means many of you have actually seen about a 13% raise in your lump sum over the past year. And we work with a lot of clients. We've seen lump sums from $300,000 to over $2 million. So if you've got a $1 million lump sum last year, it could have gone up by 130. 500,000 may have gone up by 65,000. 2 million may have gone up by $250,000. So we're talking about some real changes here. Now, if we were to see that happen the opposite and interest rates go up by 1%, then they'll have an inverse effect, and that $1 million lump sum could be losing, $100,000 or so. So we want to look at reviewing your situation, especially if you're within a few years of retirement, to see what those interest rates would do. We can keep you updated on those monthly. We do put out a monthly interest rate update. So if you'd like that, just give us a call and get on the distribution list, and we'll send that over to you periodically as well. Now, ultimately, like I mentioned, as far as reviewing these interest rates are only affecting the lump sum. They do not have an effect on the annuity. So if you are leaning towards the annuity, you don't have to worry about this. You don't have to worry about the percentage that you're getting based upon your age and years of service. But at the end of the day, we need to make sure that you're taking us up on that cash flow analysis and make sure that you actually have a plan. Unfortunately, about 3/4 of Americans don't have a financial plan. If you can spend about maybe 10 minutes with us gathering some of these numbers, we can put the work in and produce a financial plan for you, so you see where you stand, and let you determine whether you want to look at the lump sum versus the annuity, whether you want to look at a retirement date now or 3 or 4 or 5 years from now. We can view all those different options. The other thing to keep in mind is, again, frequent our website for the energy guide. We have one specific for Chevron. We do update that periodically. And if you have friends at other companies, we do a lot of work with ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, Shell, BP, Occidental, Marathon, to name a few. Direct them to our website as well, in which case we've got additional energy kits for everybody there as well. So in the end, we'd love to work with you, but whether you're working with somebody or not, we do recommend getting a second opinion. At least take us up on that cash flow analysis so you can see where you stand. But if you are working with somebody, make sure that they do understand your benefits inside and out, so they can make sure that you don't make any mistakes as you transition. Make sure you understand their fee structure. We are fiduciaries and we're an independent company, so we're very transparent about our pricing, and we tend to tend to average lower than the industry average. We're not a one-size-fits-all, so we have specific situations for every individual. But our goal is to review that cash flow analysis and then back into an appropriate option for you. Make sure you're working with an experienced team and determine what it is you're looking that you value. And again, as always, take us up on that cash flow analysis. And if you have not updated yours with us in the last year, please give us a call so we can do that. And if you've never done one with us, definitely give us a call so we can process that for you and get that written plan in place, so at least you see where you stand. And then just to wrap it up, I know a lot of people have concerns about the EOI going on right now. Whether you took it in May and you're going to get the nod or not here next week, or whether you're waiting until October. So it's, again, if you're looking at the lump sum, it's definitely an opportune time to review these interest rates, because if they do go lower, you could actually retire, and we could still recommend deferring your pension a little bit if you want to increase that lump sum. So ultimately, again, I want to thank you for joining us. Just give us a call at 800-900-5867, and then frequent the Chevron landing page there at the bottom if you want to get updates and join additional webinars.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much for the information, Wesley. As usual, it's great to get a more comprehensive understanding of some of the most important financial decisions that the people that we talk to have. To be just to kind of piggyback off of what Wesley had talked about related to the cash flow analysis, We've been asked a number of times in the past if that's something that we charge for, and that is a complimentary service that we offer. So to be mindful of some firms I know that actually do charge for that type of thing. We do not. If you're welcome or interested in spending some time with us, about 10 or 15 minutes to give us some information, we can stress test the plan. And I think what's been most helpful in the recent EOI news has been for those people who are actually considering it, but in fact did not plan on leaving for another 2 or 3 or 4 years. So it's never too soon to have one of those ran, and the more often that that's updated, the more prudent it would be for your personal financial decision, and probably the more comfortable your retirement will be. So we appreciate you joining us today, and there is no further questions. So we'll see you next week as a follow-up. We'll be doing another Chevron webinar next week to piggyback off of the EOI information. So thanks for the information, Wesley.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Take care. All right.